The salt spray stings your skin as you're dragged toward the longship, the last touch of the familiar world you'll ever feel. You are 17, a coastal girl from Ireland, and behind you, the village burns. Your mother's voice is lost in the smoke. The men surrounding you speak in a harsh, alien tongue, their laughter guttural like the growl of wolves. Rough rope cuts your wrists as you stumble across the rocks. In that moment, everything you have ever known is gone. You are no longer a daughter, no longer a person, but a possession. Your journey into the Viking world has begun.
We remember the Viking Age, from the late 700s to the mid-1000s, as an era of fearless explorers and master shipbuilders, of sagas and longships, of adventure and discovery. But beneath the myth of freedom and glory lies a darker, far more disturbing truth. For centuries, the Norse world was powered by human trafficking, an organized, profitable system of enslavement that reached from the British Isles to the rivers of Russia. This was not the chaos of war, it was business. A network of raiders, traders, and kings who made human beings their most valuable export.
Popular culture shows Viking raids as wild bursts of violence, but in reality, they were deliberate and methodical. Each expedition was a calculated investment. Wealthy chieftains and their partners pooled money to build longships, funding timber, iron, tar, sails, and supplies. They expected returns, and the most reliable profit came not from silver or grain, but from people. The Viking ships were perfect for this task, long, light, and shallow enough to sail up narrow rivers. No coastal town, no inland monastery, no sleeping village was safe. Communities miles from the sea would wake to the sight of sails on the river and realize it was already too late. They attacked the unguarded monasteries, villages, and religious centers like Iona, where 68 monks were slaughtered in 806. But many weren't killed, they were taken. The Irish annals recorded again and again, a great host of women carried into captivity. It became a grim refrain across centuries. Raiding wasn't just about terror, it was logistics, and women were the most valuable cargo of all. Once captured, identity dissolved. A name was erased. A new word replaced it: thrall. In Old Norse, thrall meant slave. Legally, a thrall was property, not a person. She had no voice in court, no right to own anything, and no protection from abuse. Her body was wealth, like cattle or land, classified in the neuter gender, neither male nor female, simply it. If she was killed, the law did not call it murder. It called it damage to property. From the burning village, captives were forced toward the sea. They were packed into open boats alongside loot and warriors. No shelter, little food, endless cold. Salt water, disease, and terror consumed them. Many never reached land again. Those who did were delivered into a network of slave markets that stretched across the Viking world, from Dublin, known to the Norse as Dyflin, to the trading ports of Hedeby and Birka. Dublin became one of Europe's largest slave centers, the hub of a trade that linked Ireland, Scandinavia, and the Islamic world through the rivers of Russia. The Volga trade route was the artery of this human commerce. Captured women from Ireland or the Slavic lands were transported downriver, sold and resold through cities like Novgorod, Kiev, and Bulgar, until they reached Constantinople or Baghdad. Persian and Arab chroniclers describe it in chilling simplicity. The Rus raid the Slavs, seize them, and sell them. Their cargo was human life, exchanged for silver and silk. Archaeology confirms the scale. Tens of thousands of Islamic silver coins have been unearthed in Scandinavia, mute witnesses to a trade that spanned half the known world. The Arab diplomat Ahmad ibn Fadlan saw it firsthand. He described Norse traders setting up camps on riverbanks, displaying enslaved girls for buyers, and, in public, violating them to prove their value. There was no shame, no secrecy, only ownership. Each act was a transaction, each woman a commodity.
For most, enslavement meant endless labor. From dawn to dusk, they ground grain, hauled water, stoked fires, cooked, brewed, washed, and wove. Their hands grew calloused, their backs bent, their teeth worn down by the stone corn. They were the invisible engine of the Norse economy, producing the coarse woolen cloth called vadmal, used for sails, clothing, even currency. Without enslaved women, Viking exploration itself would have been impossible. Their bones tell the truth. Excavated skeletons show signs of malnutrition, arthritis, and broken bones that healed without care. They lived hard and died nameless. But labor was not their only use. Female thralls were also concubines, forced partners of their owners. Old Norse law recognized the practice not as crime, but as right. The sagas mention them casually as friller, the women kept for pleasure. The story of Melkorka, an Irish princess turned concubine, captures this cruel duality, mother to a nobleman's child, yet never free herself. Her silence, the saga says, was forced, her tongue cut out. Children born to enslaved mothers inherited their bondage unless the father chose to free them. And few did. Modern genetics confirm what the chronicles imply. In Iceland, over 80% of the male ancestry is Norse, but more than 60% of the female lineage is Gaelic. The math is inescapable. Norse men founded Iceland with captured women. The DNA of those women still lives on today, a silent genetic memorial to a conquest built on slavery. A few women of noble birth were ransomed, if their families could afford it. Others were kept as political pawns, but some faced a far darker fate. When a Viking lord died, his thralls could be killed to serve him in the next world. Ibn Fadlan described one such ritual. A young slave chosen to die with her master was plied with drink, paraded, assaulted, and finally strangled and stabbed by the angel of death as drums drowned her screams. Her body was burned beside her owners on a flaming ship. Archaeology confirms this horror. Graves from Norway and the Oseberg ship burial show evidence of ritual killings, servants buried with their masters to accompany them beyond death. In Norse society, slaves were not shameful, they were status symbols. To own thralls was to show wealth and dominance. The sagas celebrate men with dozens of slaves as heroes, not villains. Freedom was possible, but rare. A master could grant it as a gesture, or in death, as one man did for his blacksmith, Tolki, who carved a runestone in gratitude. But these were exceptions. For most enslaved women, bondage was for life and inherited by their children. The system eroded slowly. Christianization discouraged the enslavement of fellow believers, shifting Viking raids toward pagan Slavs instead. Over centuries, chattel slavery evolved into serfdom, less visible, but rooted in the same foundations of domination and control. The Viking world was a marvel of craftsmanship and courage, but also of cruelty. Its silver, its sagas, its voyages across oceans, all built, in part, upon human misery. For every warrior who set sail for glory, there was a woman bound below deck, unseen and unnamed. To tell their story is not to destroy the myth, but to complete it.
to show that even the brightest chapters of history cast the longest shadows. The Viking Age was not just an age of exploration, it was an age of enslavement, and its echoes still live, not in the